Lord Jason, it's Lord Jason. Seeing the three Jasons, those strong men couldn't help but burst into tears. The inner hall of the Temple of War? Looking at the blue ripples in front of him, Jason couldn't help but frown. Lord Jason, this blue wave is the gravity field. If you have not reached the 9th level Holy Spirit Master and do not have the domain, it will be difficult to move forward at all. However, you are a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master. You will definitely be able to enter. Go in quickly. Yes, this inner hall has never been opened in the history of the Temple of War. There must be real treasures inside. Lord Jason, I rushed over just now and saw Lord Isaac and Valley Master from a distance. Sect Master Maxon has already gone in, so you should hurry in. Almost all the powerful men present are 8th level peak Imperial spiritual masters. They had received favors from Jason at the Emperoring Beast before, and now they see Jason come over. Everyone's eyes are filled with gratitude. Have Isaac and Maxon gone in? Let's go. Jason's eyes flashed, and he took the lead to step into the blue ripples. Buzz. Suddenly, a terrifying pressure enveloped Jason, and an indescribable force, like a mountain, pressed down on Jason. With such a powerful gravity field, it's no wonder that you have to have a field to resist it. But in front of such a powerful body like mine, even if there is no field, it's nothing. Jason was born silently in his heart and walked into the door. Behind him, Claire and Muned also followed, but they were not as domineering as Jason. They immediately expanded the 9th level domain. Even so, they still felt it extremely difficult. Originally, in the outside world, their domain range was extremely wide. After all, a low-level Holy Spirit Master who had just entered the 9th level could reach a diameter of 1,000 meters in the beginning. However, in this gravity domain, Munad discovered that one's own domain can only spread to a maximum of 10 meters around, not only the domain, but also the spiritual consciousness. Did you see? Lord Jason just went in without using his domain? Outside the inner hall, many strong men stared at Jason's back as he disappeared through the hall door, with stunned expressions. Make a sound. After Jason entered the blue-rippled palace gate, his eyes suddenly opened up. A huge square suddenly appeared in front of him. In this square, there were nearly 20 people, most of whom were the group of people who rushed the fastest before included forces such as Shin Miegu and Ling Tian sect. In addition to the 7 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters from Hshin Migu and Ling Tian sect, P.S., the original text here is Emperor Spiritual Master. There are also 3 other 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters from other forces in the mainland, and nearly 10 9th level Holy Spirit Masters. A low-level Holy Spirit Master. The sudden appearance of Jason and his group also attracted the attention of everyone in the square. After the Valley Master Isaac saw Jason, he couldn't help but frown. Jason ignored these glances. As soon as he stepped into the square, he looked towards the end of the square, where there were 10 blue human-shaped objects that looked like water pillars, standing there quietly. Exuding a palpitation-inducing atmosphere, no more? These humanoid objects look like they are made of water. Roads of luster flow in their bodies, and they are flashing and vivid. They are like real people, without any difference. And behind these 10 humanoid creatures, composed of water elements, it is a shining door. What are these humanoid water elements? Jason's brows jumped in the square. From his perspective, he had never seen these humanoid water elements before, and based on the auras emitted by these 10 humanoid water elements, look, their strength is definitely at the 9th level Holy Spirit Master level. Master, it seems that behind this stone door, there should be the real ruins of the Temple of War. Claire said softly, looking at the shimmering door. Yeah. Jason nodded, but if we want to enter this gate, we must first deal with these weird humanoid water elements. Looking at the expressions of everyone present, it is obvious that everyone is afraid of this weird humanoid water element. No one dares to take the lead. Claire couldn't help but nodded. Indeed, in the face of unknown things, whoever sells first will always be much more dangerous than others. Strange, why do I feel that there is a strong breath of life escaping from the breath of these humanoid water elements? Looking at the 10 water elements, Jason frowned and spoke, but he did not step forward, but he walked to a corner of the square and watched the actions of everyone in the field. Everyone is trying to gain some advantage, how can it be that easy? In front of the crowd, a hint of coldness flashed in the eyes of Valley Master Isaac. Boom. 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 His body suddenly burst out with a golden light, an invisible wave that spread violently around his body, and at the same time, a golden sword rainbow appeared in the air. It suddenly appeared in the void, and instantly landed in the area where the 10 humanoid water elements were located. At the same time, the whole person's figure suddenly retreated at the moment of taking action. Boom! The golden sword rainbow, containing a terrifying spiritual power, suddenly slashed down into the void. The void instantly shattered, revealing a dark space hole, and a terrifying spiritual power fluctuation. From the location of the space hole, spread suddenly, and the shock wave instantly spread through the vicinity. The shock wave that could easily kill the 8th level peak Emperor spiritual master rippled through the 2 humanoid water elements. A trace of ripples suddenly appeared on the surface of the 2 humanoid water elements, as if the calm lake surface was disturbed by the stones thrown into it. Buzz. Isaac's action was like throwing fire into a room full of gunpowder. A terrifying aura spread instantly throughout the square, and the 10 humanoid water bodies stood there silently. The elements, at the next moment, all suddenly raised their heads. The eyes made of water instantly bloomed with a dazzling blue light, and their cold and hollow gaze fell directly on everyone in the square. Boom! The next moment, the figures of the 10 humanoid water elements suddenly surged, and the sharp sound of breaking through the air echoed in the square. The terrifying breath spread, and the 10 humanoid water elements moved toward everyone in the square. People came with a violent impact. This Isaac is such a bastard. When the few strong men standing at the front of the square saw this scene, they couldn't help but cursed in their hearts. They retreated instantly and wanted to retreat into the crowd, but the waterman, the speed was so fast that in the blink of an eye, he was in front of several strong men. He raised his right fist high, shining with blue luster, and then smashed it down hard. Go away! One of the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters stopped his retreating figure. This was a middle-aged man wearing a black robe. He shouted suddenly, and a black sword suddenly appeared in front of him. He took out his right hand, and a misty light appeared on the black sword, aiming at the humanoid water element and slashing it down. Whoops! A brilliance like black lightning tore through the world. The black sword, wrapped in terrifying spiritual power, struck directly on the head of the humanoid water element. Tisk! The black sword directly slashed through the humanoid water elemental's body, from the head to the entire body. The humanoid water elemental was instantly split in half under the attack of the black-robed, middle-aged man. So weak? The middle-aged man in black robe was stunned, and at the same time his face showed a hint of joy. However, before the joy on his face fully bloomed, his expression suddenly froze, and his eyes showed out of panic. After the humanoid water element was split in half with a knife, it did not collapse. The half of its body that waved its fist continued to move forward without any pause, and hit the middle-aged man in black robe heavily on the chest. Bang! A huge roar sounded. The middle-aged man in black robe only had time to condense a pair of black armor on his body, and then he was hit hard by a punch. On top of the black elemental armor, densely packed elements instantly appeared. There were cracks, and then suddenly shattered, and the middle-aged man in black robe turned pale, and bright red blood spurted out from his mouth. With one move, as a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, he was injured. The body of the water element that was split into 2 parts merged in the void. In an instant, it returned to its original state and condensed into a complete water person. Boom! Boom! At the same time, in every corner of the square, there were shocking explosions and sounds of fighting. 10 humanoid water elements launched attacks at the same time, and those at the front hurriedly fought, and they were all stunned. It was a big loss. One of the 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters was the most miserable. Unexpectedly, the humanoid water element was so weird. He pierced the opponent's head with a sword, and the humanoid water element also hit his head with a punch. Blood, mixed with white brains, splashed in the square. The 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master did not react at all, but his head was blown up in a different place on his body. However, after the humanoid water element was pierced through the head, it was completely intact. Ignoring it, he rushed towards the next opponent. "Let's all take action together and kill these water men." The roars and roars of some strong men suddenly came to mind in the crowd. Many strong men who were retreating behind saw the scene. After hesitating for a moment, they all moved forward to meet him. Jason and the others were also facing a humanoid water element at this moment. Boom! The fist containing terrifying spiritual power hit Jason's head directly. Jason's eyes flashed, and he advanced instead of retreating. The black heavy sword in his hand turned into a black angry dragon and hit the opponent's fist directly. Bang! Tutsao, make a paragraph with various onomatopoeias, invisible air waves spread, and the fist of the humanoid water element exploded instantly under Jason's sword, scattering in all directions, but that the waterman didn't care at all. As his body flipped around, his left fist hit Jason again. At the same time, the water droplets splashing all over the sky were reintegrated into his body, forming a complete right hand again. Bang! Bang! The sound of collision of force resounded in the square. After several fights, Jason could already feel the true strength of this humanoid water element. In terms of attack strength, these humanoid water elements are only equivalent to a very powerful 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master. However, they have a strange characteristic, that is, they are not afraid of attacks at all, whether they explode or split in half. They can continue to attack, and their combinations will be restored quickly, making them extremely difficult to deal with. For a moment, in the entire square, more than 20 9th level experts who could enter the inner hall gate and the 10 humanoid water elements launched the most violent attacks on each other. The deafening roar echoed across the square, mixed with the sounds of angry shouts and roars, and the terrifying spiritual power that filled the sky formed an extremely tragic scene. Boom! On the square, the black heavy sword in Jason's hand hit the body of a humanoid water element again. The humanoid water element suddenly exploded, and raindrop-like water droplets scattered in all directions, and then merged together again. "Master, these things are too difficult to deal with. They can't be killed at all." Claire frowned. The flames on her body rose up, scorching and distorting the air. She waved the big sword in her hand, forming thousands of lines. The tongues of fire completely enveloped the humanoid water element. Chi-chi! Chi-chi! Under the burning of Claire's powerful real fire, the humanoid water element kept making shi-shi sounds. Normally speaking, among the 5 elements, fire defeats water, and generally the water element 20 elemental objects, condensed from elements, will quickly collapse once they are attacked by the fire element. However, this is not the case with this humanoid water element. The body is constantly burning, but it is still vigorous and vigorous, attacking the 3 of them continuously. Can't be killed? No, while Jason was fighting, his mind was always focused on the humanoid water element. In Jason's perception, the rich breath of life was faintly exuding from deep within the body of the humanoid water element. With the attacks one after another, it is also slowly weakening. I don't know how this humanoid water element was formed, but we are obviously constantly consuming its energy every time we attack it. It is impossible not to kill it. Jason knew very well. The energy contained in any object is limited. Jason does not believe that under the attack of so many people, this humanoid water element will always be immortal. If this is true, it would be too outrageous, let alone there were more than 20 people present, and even if there were twice as many strong men, it would be impossible for them to break through. It's just that Jason doesn't know when the energy consumed by this humanoid water element will reach its limit. In fact, with Jason and his 9th level intermediate strength, as long as they are careful, these are humanoid water elements that are comparable to 9th level low-level Holy Spirit masters. It is difficult to bring them life-threatening, but they will remain unscathed no matter how hard they are beaten. The characteristics are really too difficult to deal with. The birth and death of the 5 elements, the reincarnation of heaven and earth. Faced with the continuous attacks of the humanoid water element, Jason roared, and a ball of 5-color divine light burst out from his eyes. He aimed at the humanoid water element and struck down with his sword. Boom! Jason's sword slashed down, the void collapsed instantly, the world was in chaos, and the black heavy sword directly hit the body of the humanoid water element. Enough! The humanoid water element was completely shattered under Jason's sword. The droplets of water splashed and fell to the ground one after another. These water droplets were not like before. They were put back together, but turned into puddles of water stains, completely losing their vitality. Seeing this scene, the faces of the 3 Jasons couldn't help but be startled, and immediately showed relief. Finally, I killed it. The 3 of them exhaled a long breath. The strength of the humanoid water element is not too strong, but its inability to be killed will make people I feel despair deep in my heart. Ah, the sword of destruction! However, just when Jason and the 3 of them took a long breath, a shocking roar suddenly sounded in the ears of the 3 of them. The 3 Jasons immediately turned around and saw a middle-aged man who was covered in blood and looked quite young. He looked crazy. On the long sword in his hand, the aura of destruction spread out. He faced a humanoid water body in front of him. The elements cut down desperately. Judging from the aura emanating from this middle-aged man, it is obvious that he is just a 9th level low-level Holy Spirit master. At this moment, his body is covered in blood, and his left hand is hanging aside. It has obviously been broken, and there were wounds, and blood was constantly oozing out of them. The situation had become extremely serious. Boom! Under the frenzied attack of the middle-aged man, the long sword containing terrifying spiritual power instantly fell on the body of the human-shaped water element. The human-shaped water element was not affected by the middle-aged man's chop. It exploded without any suspense. Bang! Water droplets splashed all over the sky, reflecting brilliant rays of light in the air, which were clearly reflected in Jason's eyes. Jason's originally calm gaze froze for an instant, looking at the water droplets splashing all over the sky, as if he saw something unbelievable, with surprise in his eyes. Whoosh! The next moment, his figure was already flying forward. The water droplets scattered all over the sky and exploded in the air. However, in the blink of an eye, they seemed to be pulled by an invisible force and gathered together again. Boom! The humanoid water element condensed into shape, and without any hesitation, he punched the seriously injured middle-aged man with a heavy punch. The middle-aged man's eyes suddenly showed despair. The previous move was his most powerful move, and it consumed a lot of spiritual energy in his body. Now he is in a spiritual vacuum. At this stage, he couldn't launch any powerful counterattack at all. He could only wave the long sword in his hand in despair, trying to block the attack of the humanoid water element. But knowing that the humanoid water element was terrifying, he clearly understood that with his current state, he simply could not withstand its attack. Are you going to die? The middle-aged man felt desperate. He didn't want to die, not because he was greedy for life and afraid of death, but because he couldn't let go of his family and his relatives. Just when the attack of the humanoid water element was about to hit the middle-aged man, whoops! A figure suddenly appeared in front of the middle-aged man, blocking the attack of the humanoid water element for him. Ghost, the middle-aged man couldn't help but feel ecstatic at the desperate situation. At the same time, he was filled with indescribable gratitude to the figure who appeared at the critical moment. Hurry up and leave! A deep voice sounded, and the middle-aged man didn't care what to say and hurriedly moved aside with his seriously injured body. Master. Lord Jason. In the distance, two figures flew over, wanting to join the battlefield. Don't come over, let me come. The figure hurriedly stopped the two people's actions. The figure that suddenly appeared before was none other than Jason. At this moment, with a strange light that could not be concealed in his eyes, he faced off coldly with the humanoid water element. The humanoid water element roared silently, attacking Jason fiercely. Open it! Jason roared, his tongue bursting with spring thunder, and the long sword in his hand suddenly stabbed out, hitting the humanoid water element directly between the eyebrows. Bang! The humanoid water element exploded directly under Jason's sword and turned into water droplets all over the sky. On those water droplets, the laws of the water system flowed, and at the same time an invisible force appeared, trying to reunite these water droplets. Chong! At this moment, Jason put away the heavy sword in his hand like lightning, and rushed into the water drops all over the sky. Master, this is Jason's actions shocked both Claire and Munad, and the middle-aged man's eyes widened. Huh! In the astonished eyes of the three people, Jason's body suddenly disappeared, as if it turned into a ball of wind. Based on Claire's understanding of Jason at this moment seemed to be using his weird the preparation method is the same as preparing elixirs. A pair of fingers flashing with thousands of phantoms instantly clicked on all the water drops. Boom! 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 The water droplets all over the sky then exploded and turned into puffs of water vapor. A black light turned into a black spiritual shield, covering those the water vapor was completely wrapped in it, and it was Jason's high-speed moving figure. Huh! The next moment, Jason's body suddenly stopped and reappeared, and the water vapor in the sky slowly dispersed and disappeared completely. Master! Both Claire and Munad hurriedly flew up and looked at Jason in surprise. Before, they tried their best to kill a humanoid water elemental, but before, Jason easily wiped out a humanoid water element, so that they were not surprised. However, facing the surprised looks of the two people, Jason ignored them and lowered his head, his eyes falling on his own. On top of the clenched right hand, the next moment, the right hand opened. In Jason's palm, a drop of crystal clear liquid that seemed to have life was slowly rolling. This is Claire and Mu. Both Nader and Nader had doubts on their faces. Water of life. Jason said faintly, raised his head suddenly, and there was a sparkle in his eyes. Water of life? The expressions on the faces of Claire and Munad were also stunned. However, what Claire and the others didn't know was that the turmoil in Jason's heart was even greater than theirs. After that, from the previous battle, Jason had already somewhat understood the composition of these humanoid water elements. Each of these humanoid water elements were refined by unique water laws, and their driving core was the water of life. In the previous battle between the middle-aged man and the humanoid water element, Jason accidentally spied on this. As a 9th-level intermediate elixir master, he immediately had an idea. Whether he could use refining, he tried using elixir materials to extract the water of life from the humanoid water element, but unexpectedly, Jason succeeded. Compared to obtaining this drop of water of life, the success of using the elixir preparation method to kill this humanoid water element method that was comparable to a 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit master, gave Jason a greater impact on his soul. Jason first discovered that elixir, it can actually be used in combat. In the square, Jason looked at the drop of water of life in his hand and couldn't help but feel a little stunned. Master, since this is the water of life, does the master of Bispham Tower on the side? Excitement suddenly appeared on Claire's face. It's still far from enough. However, Jason couldn't help but shook his head. This is good water of life, but the quantity is too small and cannot achieve the effect we need. As he spoke, Jason's eyes passed across the entire square again. The entire square was in a mess at this moment, and the fierce battle continued. However, of the original 10 humanoid water elements, except for the 2 that Jason and the others killed, only 4 were left, and the remaining 4 were Gu was killed by others. Whoosh! The next moment, Jason's figure suddenly disappeared. Tisk! The black heavy sword thrust out from the void and instantly struck another 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master who was fighting hard on the humanoid water element. The humanoid water element exploded instantly. In the surprised eyes of the 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master, Jason repeated his old tricks and used the powerful technique of flowing spirit medicine to kill the humanoid water element instantly and extracted a drop of it again. Water of life. When Jason looked around again, the entire square was silent, and the other 3 humanoid water elements were also killed. Ho! Huge gasps resounded in the square, and the strong smell of blood floated in the square. Haha, although this thing is difficult to deal with, it is not too powerful. A disgusting voice sounded in the square and reached everyone's ears. It was the God's Destruction Valley. Lord of Isaac Valley. In the square, everyone looked at him coldly with unworried faces, and they dared to be angry but dared not speak out. Isaac suddenly woke up the 10 humanoid water elements before. As a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, he took the other 3 guardian elders of God Destruction Valley and hid at the end at the first time. As a result, the battle resulted in the death of 2 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters and the serious injuries of many people, leaving everyone simmering with anger. Just as everyone was breathing heavily and treating the injuries in their bodies, the originally closed light door suddenly burst out with a dazzling light. Complex spiritual patterns emerged from the light door, and the entire light it opened slowly. As the light door gradually opened, a desolate and peaceful atmosphere slowly floated out, making many people look a little solemn. But the strange thing is that after the light door opened, everyone in the entire square was silent, but no one entered the light door first. Seeing this scene, many people couldn't help but curse secretly. Obviously, the previous experience made many people feel a little scared and did not dare to take risks casually. And Jason stood aside leisurely, carefully sensing the 2 drops of water of life he had received before. Although it may be due to the battle of the humanoid water element, the energy in this water of life was not strong, but its essence was. But it is truly the water of life. It seems that I have come to the right place for the ruins of the god of war. There is indeed water of life here. However, these 2 drops are too little and cannot completely restore the Master of Bispham Tower. Even the 8 drops are too little. The efficacy of the peak-level immortality potion may not be achieved, and it is not enough to prepare the top-grade holy level elixir for myself to advance to the 9th level Holy Spirit Master. There was silence in the square. As time passed, for a moment, someone finally couldn't help but walked slowly into the light door first. Looking at his figure disappearing into the light door, the rest of the people couldn't help themselves and entered the light door one after another. Let's go. Hearing no screams coming from behind the light door, Jason immediately shouted out, turned into a stream of light, and rushed into the light door. After a while, the remaining 20 or so strong 9th level Holy Spirit Masters basically all entered the light gate. Only 3 low-level 9th level Holy Spirit Masters who were seriously injured in the battle with the humanoid water element did not enter, including the 2 who were rescued by Jason. It's not that they don't want to get the treasure, it's just that they also know that with the strength of their 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters, the hope of getting the treasure in the hands of so many strong men is not great, and now they are seriously injured, and their strength is not even half of their original strength. Even if you get it, you can't keep it at all, so naturally you don't want to risk your life anymore. The 3 Jasons entered the light door together, and a feeling of dizziness arose in everyone's minds. The next moment, everyone's eyes suddenly lit up, and they appeared in a simple, old hall. This is, as soon as everyone appeared in the hall, everyone looked at the end of the hall, their mouths opened wide, and their eyes showed extremely shocking eyes, as if they had seen something incredible. Something average. At the end of the hall, there was a pool with a diameter of about 10 meters, which bloomed with soft light. The rich breath of life spread out, making everyone feel extremely comfortable, even because of the previous battle with the humanoid water element. As for the injured 9th level Holy Spirit Master, his injuries recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and he was fully recovered in a matter of seconds. Water of life. Seeing the pool, Jason's eyes immediately showed shock. This pool, that exuded a strong breath of life, was actually filled with the legendary water of life, which made him feel extremely shocked. However, what shocked everyone even more was not the pool full of water of life, but something suspended on the surface of the pool. This is a blue pagoda, about the height of a person, floating on the surface of the pool. Streams of blue misty rays of light spewed out from the pagoda. Billions of rays of light, endless divine brilliance rising. The pagoda exuded a coercion that made people dare not look at it. The terrifying aura dispersed, making people from I felt palpitations deep in my heart. In front of this blue pagoda, everyone present felt extremely small. Is this the treasure in the Temple of War? The legendary treasure left by the god of war in the sky and sea? Someone among the nearly 20 strong men who entered the light gate murmured, with unconcealable excitement in their tone. What was left behind by the god of war of the sky and sea? Is this pagoda a legendary artifact? Someone whispered. Although they were not sure, they were agreed by everyone. Otherwise, it is impossible to do this. Everyone present is a strong 9th level Holy Spirit Master with strong strength, but in front of this pagoda, their legs are trembling, and they can't help but kneel down, both physically and mentally. Trembling feeling. Unlike many powerful people who focus on the pagoda, Jason's eyes are on the water of life. For him now, this is the most important thing. The pagoda was constantly rising and falling, and everyone was filled with fear and wary of their surroundings. Suddenly, rumble. A trembling voice came. In everyone's sight, the pool and the pagoda were slowly sinking at the end of the hall. Not good. Everyone was shocked. At this moment, no one could hold back any longer. They all rushed towards the pool like crazy, trying to take action before the pagoda sank completely. In an instant, nearly 20 figures exuding terrifying auras flew up at the same time, and the overwhelming coercion dissipated. All kinds of spiritual powers, wrapped in terrifying power, rushed towards the deepest part of the hall. Boom! 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 Terrifying elemental palms emerged in the void one after another, and they all aimed at the pagoda and violently grabbed at it. Jason was not to be outdone, and the elemental palms condensed, like the mountains cut through the sky and swept away, but the object he grabbed was the water of life. Just when the elemental palms, displayed by everyone, were about to touch the pagoda, buzz. The pagoda trembled slightly, and a blue ripple, centered on the pagoda, spread to all sides, and rippled across one by one. With a huge roar, the elemental palms, displayed by everyone, exploded and turned into nothingness. The ripples passed over everyone's bodies again, and everyone in the hall was instantly enveloped by the endless water. Every drop of the endless water seemed to weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Everyone was completely enveloped by the water, and there was no way to escape, including Jia. The same goes for Senator. He seemed to have entered another dimension in an instant. In front of this terrifying force, he, who had reached the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, had no power to resist it. Claire. Jason was shocked and couldn't help but want to fly towards Claire. Master. Claire also tried her best to get closer to Jason. Wow. Swept by the endless water, Jason couldn't control his body shape at all. What on earth is going on? Jason kept struggling, and at the same time, he used the water space to resist the restraint of the water flow. However, the water space, which was always unfavorable in the past, failed this time. Under this strange restraint, before the power, Jason couldn't resist at all. He just said, "Who?" and Jason came to a strange place in an instant. Jason immediately looked around. Here, what happened just now? what is going on? Where am I now? Jason's heart was full of doubts and shock. This is a mysterious and huge building made of water. When Jason looked up, he could only see the huge roof formed by the blue water. He could not see it at all. And around him, there were also walls formed by the blue water. This was a giant building formed entirely by water, and Jason was trapped in it. What frightened Jason the most was that there was no one there, no one around. Jason looked around, trying to find someone, but there was not a single figure in the waterflow building. The nearly 29th level Holy Spirit Masters before had all disappeared, while Claire and Munad, also missing. Boom! Just as Jason looked around in confusion, a terrifying murderous intent was suddenly released from the wall of water on the side. The murderous intent was like water pouring from all over the world, annihilating everything, and a powerful the extreme attack came in front of Jason in an instant. It was as if the terrifying murderous intention pouring from the nine heavens galaxy filled everything, and the powerful spiritual power boiled. The entire passage turned into a hazy peace, and nothing could be seen. Jason only felt that for a moment, he was like a small boat caught in the violent waves that might be submerged at any time. What? Jason couldn't help being shocked. He was like an eagle gliding in the sky. He retreated along with the violent spiritual power, and with the black heavy sword that naturally appeared in his opponent's hand, he attacked the rear with ease. Go! Roar! The black heavy sword trembled, and a black sword energy several meters long was aimed at the attack like a roaring angry dragon. The birth and death of the five elements will destroy the heaven and the earth. As soon as Jason took action, he showed no mercy, and the spiritual power in his body surged out desperately, blasting out crazily. Pung! The two struck each other, and deafening explosions resounded throughout the world. A violent force rippled in the middle of the attack. Jason and the blue figure who suddenly appeared retreated violently. This is what appeared in front of Jason was a blue and transparent water man. It was almost the same as the previous humanoid water element. The only difference was that the water man at this moment was 3 meters tall and held a light handle. The blue water sword, the mysterious laws of the water system appeared on its surface, and the terrifying coercion spread out. It was obvious that this iron tower-like water man was stronger than the previous water man. Seeing the attack on himself, Jason was not surprised but overjoyed after seeing what happened. He already knew that this strange water man seemed to be created through some strange method, and its core was the water of life. Whoosh! Tipping his toes, Jason shot through the sky like an arrow from a string, and came to the face of the tall water man at great speed. Ho! The water man roared, and blue light bloomed from his body. The water sword in his hand cut through the void, and blue ripples rippled from the center of the water sword and spread directly towards Jason. Pung! The spiritual magic in Jason's body was running, and the 5-color divine light bloomed on the black heavy sword, which collided heavily with the water sword. The two of them retreated violently at the same time. This is the water in the secret of the water system. The secret of the trapped world. Jason couldn't help but cry out in surprise with horror in his eyes. With Jason's current strength, especially after absorbing the 5-element spirit orb, he naturally has a very deep understanding of the 5 elements mysteries, just like the god-killing Naughty Moo divided the mysteries of the metal system into 9 basic techniques of controlling the secrets. In general, he divided the mysteries of the metal system into 9 stages. Similarly, the other 4 systems can also divide their mysteries into 9 levels. The attack performed by the water man previously contained the water pattern trap secret in the water element is equivalent to the 7th level golden sword cutting the void in the metal element. What on earth is this water man? It's not a human at all. It's said to be a spiritual beast, but it doesn't look like it. It's said to be a life, but apart from the instinctive killing, Jason did not feel the slightest soul breath from the water body at all, and its essential energy core was just water of life, not even life, which made Jason extremely doubts. The key is that if Jason wants to use the elixir method to extract the water of life in the waterman, he must first defeat it. But this waterman is much more powerful than the previous waterman outside. Normally in the battle, Jason, whose strength has reached the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, can only fight to a draw. It seems that I can only use the strongest move. Jason's eyes narrowed. Phew. On the opposite side, after the waterman was repulsed by Jason, his eyes made of blue water did not waver at all, and his body suddenly rushed over again. The water sword in his hand stabbed out directly and attacked Jason. Call out. The blue water sword drew a blue light in the void. The light actually bloomed with dazzling light, refracting thousands of silk threads, densely filling the entire space. The entire void was filled with these threads. It was twisted, as if it was imprisoned. The opportunity has come. Jason's eyes suddenly sank, and an extremely terrifying power rose up from his body. At the same time, a black shadow appeared behind him, with a cold and murderous gaze, fell directly on the waterman. The god-destroying killing techniques, one by one the god of killing is coming. Jason's eyes sparkled with brilliance, and an inexplicable domineering aura naturally emerged from him. An aura of controlling the world, sweeping invincibly, and being the only one in the world rushed out of him, and the fighting spirit burst out of him. It makes people tremble. Boom! The black heavy sword pierced directly into the endless blue light, and thunder suddenly sounded out of thin air. The blue light in the sky directly dissipated, and the black heavy sword pierced directly into the chest of the waterman unstoppably. Unlike the previous waterman, who was attacked and exploded, this tall waterman's body suddenly lit up with blue lines, and traces of complex and cumbersome spiritual patterns clearly appeared on Jia's body. In front of Sen's eyes, the spiritual patterns were like lines on a circuit board, giving people a sense of mystery that contained special rules. Pung! The next moment, the waterman exploded and turned into water droplets splashing all over the sky. The droplets of water contained an extremely terrifying aura. Wherever they splashed, space cracks appeared. This is formation pattern? The lines that lit up on the waterman's body before made Jason completely stunned. The complicated and mysterious lines kept echoing in Jason's mind, giving Jason an extremely huge impact. But next for a moment, Jason didn't have much time to think about it. His figure suddenly disappeared and turned into a black light, covering all the splashing water droplets. Who? After a moment, Jason's body suddenly stopped. In his hand, a piece of water of life about the size of a thumb appeared. However, Jason's mind did not care about the water of life, but was still being absorbed by the water from before. The lines he saw shocked me. It's a puppet. These humanoid water elements are basically puppets. Jason already knew it in his heart. In this continent, in addition to many professions such as spiritual medicine master, spiritual craftsman, etc., there is also the puppet master profession. However, just as the elixir master needs to master a lot of other knowledge, including the ability to engrave array patterns and spiritual patterns, the puppet master, as a small category, cannot actually be regarded as a profession like the elixir master, but belongs to the alchemist or array pattern teacher's lineage. Usually, the elemental imitations used by a powerful spiritual master just use the mysterious laws to combine the spiritual elements in the space through some unique arrangement and launch an attack, just like a fire spiritual master punching just like a giant flame dragon appearing alive. It doesn't last long. But this puppet is different. It is a powerful object made from a unique material, various array patterns, and driven by core energy. Unless the energy in the core thing that provides its energy is completely exhausted, it will be difficult to kill it. Of course, killing the puppet in this way is the most inferior method. Usually, as long as the formation pattern that drives it is destroyed, causing it to lose its effectiveness and become unable to move. This legendary god of war is definitely a formation master. Now that we know how this waterman is made up, it will be easy to handle. Jason put away the water of life in his hand, already making up his mind. Jason, who was a 9th-level elixir master in his previous life, was not only a powerful elixir master, but also had amazing attainments in formations and other aspects. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to create the 9 spirits chi gathering formation like this. A powerful spiritual formation. Of course, although Jason's formation skills are powerful, it is simply impossible for him to create a similar waterman. However, Jason does not need to know how to make this waterman. He only needs to know how to make the waterman. Just know how to destroy the formation patterns on the waterman. Sniff. Jason turned into a shadow and flew towards the depths of the building. Boom. Boom. Not long after he flew past, 2 terrifying auras rushed out from the wall of water on the side again, and the terrifying murderous intent spread out. 2 attacks, containing astonishing murderous intent, attacked Jason hard again. Bang! Bang! Jason blocked it instantly and stared away, only to see 2 tall water men blocking him again. Just in time. A faint smile bloomed at the corner of Jason's mouth, his eyes flashed, and he rushed forward fiercely. Bang! Jason stabbed one of the watermen with his sword. Spiritual patterns suddenly lit up on the waterman's body. The spiritual patterns emerged one after another. Jason wrote them down one by one, every circuit. Every node and every texture was gradually analyzed by Jason. Boom. Boom. The black heavy sword in Jason's hand flashed with a strange light and stabbed directly into the bodies of the 2 watermen. Pung. Pung. Finally, this time, Jason did not use the most powerful death god at all. Just through the study of spiritual patterns, he easily stabbed 2 watermen with 2 swords. The technique of liquid medicine was used again, and the 2 pools of water of life were once again refined by Jason. Let's go! Jason shouted in his heart and flew towards the depths of the building at high speed again. Along the way, Jason was attacked by some water people, but he used unique techniques to resolve them one by one. Finally, after a fierce fight, and for who knows how long, the building in front of Jason suddenly opened up, and a huge square suddenly appeared in front of him. Looking at the square, Jason's heart was completely shocked. This is an extremely huge square, with no end as far as the eye can see. Above this square, from near to far, there are formations engraved on the ground. These formations range from easy to difficult, from simple to simple. It was so cumbersome that huge formations were formed, with light shining on the formations, all the way to the mysterious place at the end. Murderous intentions are revealed on these formations. It is obvious that if you make the wrong move, you will suffer a terrible attack. Is this the formation pattern killing formation? Looking at the large number of formation patterns that were flashing in front of him, Jason couldn't help but murmured. But when he saw the formation patterns that ranged from easy to difficult, Jason felt in his heart, rather than saying that this is a killing formation, it is better to say that this is a test about formation patterns. Is this the ancient god of war used to test the strong men who enter the ruins? Jason said silently in his heart. The formation pattern that appeared in front of him was really too strange. It didn't look like it was used to hinder others' progress. Instead, it was more like a test and teaching, which surprised Jason. I want to get it. The water of life must enter the deepest part of the war temple. In front of the square, looking at the shimmering formations in front of him that constantly showed shocking murderous intent, Jason did not hesitate at all. He gritted his teeth and made a decision in his heart. Whoosh! The next moment, his figure turned into a stream of light and rushed directly into the formation pattern. Buzz! The terrifying formation was activated and it was completely engulfed in it. However, Jason did not panic at all. He concentrated completely and began to decipher these formation patterns. And when Jason rushed into the formation pattern, at the scene, when he began to learn and decipher the formation pattern he was in. Boom! In the depths of a certain water body building, the flaming sword in Claire's hand slashed down desperately, ruthlessly splitting the tall waterman in front of her. Finally killed. Looking at the completely collapsed waterman, Claire gasped. "Master, where are you?" Her eyes were filled with determination, and she moved forward again in the passage. Ah! On the other side of the passage, a 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Master let out a shrill scream. His whole body was covered with blood and he was in a terrible state. Boom! The tall waterman shot out and aimed at the 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Master again. "Damn it, go to hell!" He roared angrily, with a ferocious expression on his face. He slashed down the tall waterman with the sword in his hand fiercely. Hi! On the sword, black air flow lingered, exuding an extremely terrifying aura. A misty sword spread out and enveloped the waterman. However, the waterman ignored it and kept thrusting out the blue water sword in his hand. "Call out, call out, call out." Thousands of scornful ripples rippled in the void, directly entangling the misty sword shadow. The sword shadow, containing the terrifying aura, directly shattered. In the void, the blue water sword and the black sword were seen, collided heavily. Enough! The swords collided, each erupting with huge energy. A terrifying energy spurted out from the blue water sword, followed the black sword, and directly entered the body of the 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Master. Puff! The angry expression of the 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Master suddenly froze, and blood spurted out from his mouth. His internal organs were turned into red powder by this blow. Plop! His body fell heavily, his eyes widened, and he completely lost his life. At the same time, there was another passage. Huh! Munad's eyes were full of fear, and his body was swimming in the void like a vine. He retreated dozens of feet in an instant. At the same time, he hurriedly blocked a hole in his chest that was bleeding, and his body, the wood spiritual power inside him circulated, slowly recovering from his injuries. I was almost dead, but fortunately the waterman didn't seem to be chasing me. Munad looked at the two tall water figures that disappeared into the wall of water not far away. He was still frightened at this moment. Now, he didn't know if it was time to continue moving forward. As time went by, bit by bit as time goes by, battles are constantly taking place in every part of this strange water flow building. Someone may die at any time, and it is full of crises. Die. At the end of a passage, Isaac, who was covered in blood, roared. Thousands of golden auroras bloomed from the long sword in his hand. These auroras were like a chessboard, cutting the void directly into pieces, and then passed over the people in front of him. The tall waterman. Pung! Under the cutting of these golden aurora, the waterman exploded suddenly, turned into water vapor all over the sky, and completely dissipated in the air. Phew, I finally came out. Isaac gasped and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his right hand. Is this a pattern? After seeing the flashing blue lines that appeared in front of him, Isaac was stunned. What a strange formation, from shallow to deep. Could it be that the ancient god of war used it to test the formation of intruders? Achievements in this area? Isaac couldn't help but have excitement on his face. No one knows that as the master of the God's Destruction Valley and a 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, he is also an 8th-level Imperial Formation Master. So, as long as after passing through this formation pattern, we should be able to reach the deepest part of this ruins? Lord Isaac's eyes immediately shifted to the deepest part of the square, but when he looked there, he was completely stunned. There's actually someone here? About a quarter of the way deep into the square, a figure is sitting cross-legged in the flickering formation, silently comprehending something. That's Jason. How can he be so fast? After looking carefully for a long time and seeing who the figure was, Lord Fensac's eyes widened even more, and he could hardly believe his eyes. Jason is a 9th-level elixir master. Of course, he was very clear about the matter, but he didn't expect that Jason's attainments in formations were not weak. Yes, Jason is a 9th-level elixir master, so he naturally understands formations. However, in front of me, Isaac, it's nothing. It's just this little distance, I will definitely surpass you. Isaac Valley Master's eyes were full of confidence. Phew. At this moment, a figure suddenly rushed out from a passage on the side and appeared in the square. Michelson? After seeing who the figure was, Valley Master Isaac's eyes narrowed, and immediately, his eyes fell on the formation pattern in front of him again. Whoosh! The next moment, Valley Master Isaac did not hesitate at all, and decisively swept into the strange formation. In the square, Jason was sitting cross-legged, silently comprehending the formation he was in at the moment. Boom! 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 Sword rainbows containing terrifying spiritual power continued to attack him from all directions. On the sword rainbow, the aura of destroying the world was dispersed. Even if it was based on if Jason's strength is hit, he will definitely be seriously injured. This entire square is composed of countless large formations. Every step is murderous. You can't make a wrong step, otherwise your head is very likely to be missing. However, after entering, Jason was surprised to find that even if it didn't make sense, the spiritual master of the formation can also enter this square. Because in this square, the test is not only the attainment of the battle method, but also the ability to comprehend the battle method. Once you take the first step and enter this formation, the information about the formation you are in, its arrangement method, power, and detailed cracking methods will instantly appear in your mind. It's like a teacher telling you the cracking method in detail in your mind. As long as you have a high understanding of the formation, even if you don't know anything about the formation, you can quickly crack the formation and get out of the next step. Of course, if your understanding is very poor, your understanding is wrong, and you take the wrong step, then the result will be obvious. If the formation you enter has low attack power, it is okay, otherwise, it will naturally be a dead end. Not long after Isaac and Master Michelson entered the formation square, another fiery red figure rushed out of the water flow building and came to the formation square. This fiery red figure is Claire. Master. After Claire rushed out of the water flow building, she immediately looked around, and after seeing the familiar figure in the front, her face suddenly showed surprise. Whoosh! The next moment, Claire immediately rushed into the formation. Whoosh! Sniff! As time continued to pass, another famous strong man rushed out of the strange building and came to the formation square. This is after those strong men were stunned for a moment, they all understood the purpose of the square in front of them. The next moment, they all rushed into the scene without hesitation. While many powerful players rushed into the square, Jason was dodging the attacks in the fifth formation while thinking about how to break the 10,000 Swords Guizhong formation. A large number of principles of gold-based formations quickly passed through Jason's mind. While dodging, Jason carefully searched for the formation base and formation eyes of this formation based on the information passed into his mind. Only when he found the formation eyes could he be able to completely break through the 10,000 Swords Guizhong formation and enter the next level. Finally, after a full hour, Jason, who had tried countless times, finally found the formation eye and stopped firmly on it. Later, through the formation eye, Jason, who was no longer under attack, began to analyze the structure diagram and construction principles of the 10,000 Swords Guizhong formation. After another half an hour of analysis, Jason finally became familiar with this formation. Everything about law. Hi. In the center of the square, the area where Jason was suddenly lit up with a golden light. At the same time, Jason, who had been sitting cross-legged on the ground, suddenly opened his eyes. Finally broke through the 10,000 Swords Guizhong formation. Jason had a smile on his face. When he looked back, he was stunned. He saw that there was nothing except his own square. At this moment, there were 7 or 8 strong men sitting cross-legged here and there, and the one closest to him was Isaac from the God's Destruction Valley. It seems I have to step up. Jason felt the pressure and said silently in his heart, just as he was about to step forward and enter the 6th formation. Ah! A rapid and short exclamation suddenly came from behind. Jason turned his head hurriedly and saw that on his left side, an originally calm formation suddenly released a terrifying murderous intention, and he was cross-legged in it. The strong man's eyes that were originally closed suddenly opened, and his eyes were rounded. There was unspeakable fear in his eyes, and his expression was distorted. The next moment, pong! Thousands of rays of light dispersed through the strong man, and the strong man's body exploded, instantly turning into powder and completely annihilated. Dead, Jason's heart twitched violently and suddenly sank. The person who was able to break through the water building and arrive in front of the formation square at such an early time was probably the best among the nearly 29th level powerhouses who entered the inner hall. Basically, all of them were 9th level intermediates. Holy Spirit Master. But just now, the strong man with the astonishing aura released from his body was easily killed by this formation. In an instant, he was turned into a pile of powder, with nothing left. Such a scene made Jason tremble in his heart. Even if Jason wanted to kill the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, he had to use all his strength. However, under this formation, the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master had no ability to resist and fell on the spot. Jason couldn't help but be cautious. You can't be careless at all. Once you are careless, it is very likely that you will fall. Jason's eyes were solemn and he spoke silently in his heart. However, vigilance came to an end. Faced with the formations that were becoming more and more profound, more complex, and more murderous, Jason's heart did not waver at all. His eyes were full of determination, and he stepped out again. Taking one step, he had already entered the 6th formation pattern. The wind and clouds suddenly changed. When Jason had just stepped into the 6th formation, he suddenly came to a mysterious space full of colorful light. Chi. 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 It seemed that because of Jason's entry, the entire space was shocked. The colorful rays of light that originally flowed slowly and exuded magnificent light suddenly began to flow in the next moment. Intense murderous intent soared into the sky in the mysterious space, and the 5-color divine light circulated all over the sky, transforming into whirlpools, constantly swirling, and spewing out terrifying energy. Boom! A deafening roar suddenly sounded, and 5 spiritual attacks, containing different attributes, turned into 5 divine pillars soaring into the sky, aiming at Jason and sweeping them fiercely. This is the 5 elements formation? Seeing this terrifying scene, Chusen was not surprised, but overjoyed. As a 5-element spiritual master, he naturally has a very deep understanding of the attributes of the 5 elements. Not only that, Jason himself also has profound attainments in the 5-element formation. When he was on the island of transformation, he had built the 5 elements transformation spirit Chen, but at this time, Jason had completely abandoned all his previous knowledge of formations, and instead immersed himself in his mind when he stepped into the 6th formation. A large amount of information suddenly appears in the process of cracking the previous 5 formations. Jason has already understood how powerful the ancient war god of Tianhai continent is in formation patterns. It is a powerful strength that has truly entered the realm of gods. And in the square formation, the formation information that emerged in his mind was an extremely complete and systematic explanation of the formation. The information that was broken down to the extreme and complete gave Jason a huge shock. He explained every detail of the formation principle, the formation operation method, energy maintenance, etc., starting from the most basic, from the shallower to the deeper. The description was extremely clear. In terms of formation, although Jason is not as good as although elixir science is so powerful, he can definitely be regarded as a formation master. However, in front of the explanation of this formation pattern, Jason suddenly discovered that some of the formation attainments he had understood in the past were like a toddler, making Jason extremely shocked. In the past, Jason's formation knowledge was like a piece of white paper covered with various lines. Some of these lines were perfect, some were ordinary, and some were messy and full of defects. If Jason were on it now continuing to draw, although with his current attainments, he can draw many beautiful lines, but mixed with the messy lines that covered the entire white paper, although the final pattern is much more beautiful than before, but it can never be perfect. If he wants to reach the top in formations, there is only one way for Jason now, and that is to abandon all his past knowledge and turn the pattern originally filled with lines into a blank piece of paper again, starting from the beginning of the pen. We strive for perfection and do our best, so that in the end, we can create the most perfect picture. Although relying on his own formation attainments, Jason can completely use his formation knowledge in this formation test to go faster in the first few formations, instead of fully understanding what is going on in his mind. But Jason did not do so. Although the result of this will speed up Jason's ability to break the formation later on, when the profundity of those formations exceeds Jason's own formation skills, Jason, who has not thoroughly understood the previous ones, will be unable to move forward. At this moment, Jason completely forgot all his previous knowledge of formations. Like a primary school student, he started from scratch, fascinated and completely immersed in it. The third formation was finally broken, more than half an hour later, just as Jason was immersed in the mystery of the formation pattern as vast as the sea of stars. On the square, it was finally broken. Isaac, who had taken the third formation, suddenly opened his closed eyes. He took a long breath and wiped away the cold sweat slightly. After entering the square formation, in order to catch up with Jason, Isaac fully displayed his 8th level Emperor level formation skills in the formation, rushed forward as quickly as possible, and became the only one besides Jason the fastest outside. In fact, although Isaac, who is an 8th level Emperor level spiritual pattern master, is very confident in his speed of breaking through the formation, after all, this square formation pattern is left behind by the Tianhai war god, the strongest spiritual god in the ancient Tianhai continent. The ancient formations, so Isaac was still a little nervous when he first entered the formations. However, after breaking through several formations in succession, all Isaac's confidence was fully restored again. So what about the ancient formation? Didn't he get defeated 3 times in a row by himself in just over an hour? As he broke through the third formation pattern, Isaac immediately raised his head and looked at Jason, who was the only one faster than him in the entire square. When Isaac broke through 3 formations in succession before, he was always paying attention to Jason's movements. However, when he discovered that Jason had always stayed in the 5th formation, he couldn't help but feel contempt in his heart. It doesn't matter if you come early. In the face of my Isaac's profound attainments in formation patterns, it is only a matter of time before I catch up with you. But this time, when Isaac looked up, he was suddenly startled. He saw that Jason, who was still on the 5th formation pattern before and was being pulled closer by him, was now sitting cross-legged and closing his eyes on the 6th formation. In the Tau formation, the distance from his position is actually further away. The ghost actually broke the 5th formation pattern by him? Isaac was shocked at first, but the next moment, he calmed down. It took so long to go from the 5th formation to the 6th formation, but I broke through 3 formations in a row. This kind of speed ghost Isaac couldn't help but feel dumb in his heart. He immediately stopped looking at Jason and stepped forward directly, entering the 4th formation. While Jason and Isaac continued to work hard to break the formation, the other strong men present were also constantly learning the formation and working hard to break the formation. One of the unknown 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit masters seemed to be very accomplished in formations. It only took more than an hour to break 3 formations in a row, and followed closely behind the master of Ai Mianka Valley. Claire, the leader of the Ling Tian sect, Michelson, and 2 other strong men were also quite good at formation attainments. They understood the 3rd formation and became the 3rd level formation breaker. In the 5 elements formation, Jason was silently comprehending it. Compared with the previous single line formation, this 5-element formation is much more complicated than the previous 5-line formation. The principles on which the first 5 formations are based are all basic knowledge in the formation. Generally, it does not require much enlightenment or breakthrough. The formation breaker only needs to carefully deduce based on the information transmitted in the data. But starting from this 6th formation, in addition to the new knowledge, the formation is also mixed with a lot of the knowledge that was just developed in the previous formation. And this kind of knowledge is perfectly integrated and seamless. This time, the test is the formation breaker's understanding, which is what the saying goes, talent. Comprehension. Can you perfectly integrate the knowledge just now, combine it with the new knowledge that appears in your mind, and find a way to break it? It will be very difficult for the formation breaker who has a slightly less understanding of the formation. It is difficult to achieve, and ordinary formation breakers can easily get stuck here, leading to stagnation. In the 5-element space, Jason continued to resist waves of attacks. Gradually, Jason understood the knowledge that appeared in his mind, but understanding was not enough. He had no idea how to break through the 6th formation. Jason felt that something was always missing from him, that his thoughts could not be understood and he could not comprehend them. He vaguely felt that there seemed to be a thin layer of window paper in front of him, which could be broken with a poke. As long as it was broken, he could understand the formation in front of him and walk out of the 6th formation. After feeling this obstacle, Jason's mind immediately started to work at an extremely fast speed. His amazing computing power in data flow and medicine was fully demonstrated. Various drill methods were in his mind like computer background data flow. The general flow continued, and pieces of knowledge quickly merged in his mind, perfectly combining together. About half an hour later. Brush. Jason seemed to really hear the sound of enlightenment that broke through the window paper. Jason was calculating frantically. The knowledge he had been thinking about suddenly became more flexible. A bright light appeared in Jason's mind. All the knowledge was blended and gathered together to fully understand the 5 elements formation. I see. Jason murmured in his mouth and stepped forward suddenly. The 6th formation was finally cracked by his thoughts. I am extremely grateful to Sister Long Inua for the red reward. I have been promoted to the leader of this book and achieved the 10th level of spiritual god. I am so excited that I decided to let Jason work hard to catch up with your level. Thank you. After spending more than half an hour, Jason finally cracked the 6th formation. The time spent was not even the time spent on the 5th level. The previous 5 levels were all about basic knowledge. Jason, who had turned himself into a blank piece of paper, almost had to learn it from scratch. He would have to master any simple knowledge to death. But at the end, starting from the 6th level. In the beginning, although the formation was much more complicated and involved a lot more knowledge, once Jason, who had the previous knowledge, understood the true principles of the formation, it became easier to crack it. After breaking through the 6th formation, Jason turned back and glanced at Munad, who was comprehending the 3rd formation and had just entered the 1st formation. After knowing that both of them were fine, Jason couldn't help but let out a long breath. Next, Jason set his sights not far behind, where Lord Isaac was standing with his eyes closed. A smile flashed across Jason's lips, and then he stepped into the 7th formation. Middle. Although he was being chased closer and closer by Isaac Valley Master, Jason was full of confidence in his subsequent cracking. Finally broke through the 4th Great Formation. About an hour later, Isaac Valley Master finally broke through the 4th Great Formation. Although compared with breaking through 3 formations in more than an hour before, this 4th formation was the formation took an hour, but Valley Master Isaac was still filled with pride. Relying on his own attainments in formation patterns and the cracking method provided by this formation, he broke through the 4th formation in just 1 hour. To be able to complete it so quickly, he was definitely an extremely fast person. In fact, if I had not spent a lot of time carefully analyzing the information and cracking methods that appeared in my mind, if I had only relied on my 8th level Emperor level formation attainments to crack these large formations, it would have taken even less time. Faster. Then Jason is probably still struggling in the sixth formation with a smile hanging on the corner of his mouth. Isaac looked directly ahead. For just a moment, the confident smile outlined on the corner of his mouth. He just froze there, and a bunch of eyes suddenly bulged out of his eye sockets. How is this possible? He has already cracked the sixth formation? I'm kidding, in such a short time, wouldn't it be faster than me cracking the fourth formation? I originally thought that it would take so long before time. Jason, who has only broken through the fifth formation, must still be struggling in the sixth formation in such a short period of time. Being able to remain immortal is already very good. Who knows when he breaks through the fourth formation? However, Jason even broke through the sixth formation, making Isaac almost unable to believe his eyes. He clearly saw that it took less than an hour for Jason to step into the sixth formation. What's going on? Valley Master Isaac frowned. Is it luck? No wonder Valley Master Isaac would think so. Breaking the formation also requires luck. For example, lucky people, even if you don't understand the formation, you can still run around blindly and escape at the center of the formation. Although this possibility is low, it is not impossible. The reason why he thinks so is that he is an 8th level Emperor level formation master. With his strength, it would take so long to crack the 4th level. Jason spent the same or even less time to crack the more difficult one. The 6th level is not luck, it is only possible. Jason's attainments in formation far exceed him. He is an 8th level Emperor level spiritual pattern master. If Jason's attainments in formations are even greater than his own, wouldn't he be a 9th level holy level formation master? Even if he beat the Lord of Isaac Valley to death, he didn't realize that Jason had this strength. It seems that I have to speed up next. Don't waste too much time on those materials and basic knowledge. Otherwise, it would be terrible if Jason blindly messed up and rushed in front of me. Isaac frowned, glanced at Jason, quickly calmed down his emotions, and entered the 5th formation. Next, he will use his full strength. Regardless of whether Jason is lucky or not, Isaac cannot allow any mistakes. This is related to the treasure of the ancient sky and sea god of war. Isaac will never allow anyone to take advantage of him. Take it from your hands. That's it, that's it. Half an hour later, in the 7th formation, Jason's closed eyes suddenly opened, with a hint of enlightenment and joy in his eyes. This 7th formation is more dangerous and terrifying than the 6th formation, and it is more cumbersome and complicated. However, Jason, who is familiar with all the basic knowledge of the previous 6 formations, can crack it better than the previous 6 formations. The formation is more relaxed. In just half an hour, he quickly comprehended all the knowledge and broke through the 7th formation. The whole process gave him a comfortable feeling. For him, breaking the formation is not a test or a danger, but a kind of enjoyment, a refreshing enjoyment. Looking behind him at Isaac, who was thinking about the 5th formation, Jason smiled lightly and easily stepped into the 8th formation. Haha, I finally broke through the 5th formation in half an hour. It only took me half an hour to break through the 5th formation. In the 5th formation, Valley Master Isaac's eyes suddenly opened, with complacency and joy in his eyes. In order to catch up with Jason, Valley Master Isaac now did not fully understand what was going on in his mind after entering the formation. Instead of using the formation knowledge that appeared in his mind, he used his powerful formation attainments and combined with the formation breaking methods that appeared in his mind to forcefully break the formation. In half an hour, he broke through the 5th formation, which was better than the 4th formation. The formation was twice as fast. Then Jason, he should be trapped in the 7th formation. Valley Master Isaac looked forward with a sneer, and then he completely stayed there. The 8th formation? Then Jason was so lucky to break through another formation in half an hour? Last time, he was lucky. Could it be that this time, that guy was still lucky? He stared blankly at Jason. Isaac Valley Master's face was gloomy, full of jealousy and anger. I have to speed up. Without any hesitation, Isaac's eyes narrowed and he stepped forward again, entering the sixth formation. Shortly after Isaac entered the sixth formation, in the eighth formation, his eyes tightened. Jason, who had been closed, suddenly opened his eyes again. It's really vast. On the Pacific, every subject is accumulated by countless strong people from ancient times for countless years. This array pattern can be used in this way. No matter simple, really not simple. Jason murmured, with emotion in his eyes. The more he learned about the pattern, the more Jason felt the vastness and profoundness of the pattern. This was something he had never experienced in his previous life. In his previous life, he was completely immersed in the science of elixirs. The reason why he understood the formations so well was to serve the elixirs. He did not conduct in-depth research and study in the science of formations. Now, he is completely fascinated by the formations. The tattoo was shocked, and at the same time my heart was filled with excitement and excitement. With his eyes closed, he carefully comprehended all the knowledge in the previous 8 formations. Jason then looked back leisurely, and suddenly found that Isaac was already in the 6th formation. Formed. Interesting, interesting. With a smile on his lips, Jason couldn't wait to step into the 9th formation. And while Isaac and Jason were competing, the other strong men in the formation. Many of them are trying their best to break the formation, but they are much worse than Jason and Isaac. The fastest one is now only in the 4th formation. Half an hour later. Whoa! Jason, who was in the 9th formation, suddenly opened his eyes. In just half an hour, he defeated the 9th formation again. His formation breaking speed is getting faster and faster. It's so refreshing, haha, it's so refreshing. This 9th great formation turns out to contain such a secret. So what is the principle and structure of the 10th great formation? Jason broke through the 9th great formation, just opened his eyes, and there was excitement in his mouth. The next moment, he couldn't wait to enter the 10th formation. Time is like running water. Half an hour has passed quickly again. Isaac, who is in the 6th formation, has encountered a problem this time. At the beginning of the 6th formation, he will summarize the previous knowledge. However, only by combining new knowledge can it be cracked. However, Isaac, who had broken through the 5 formations without hesitation before, did not fully understand the previous basic knowledge and immediately ran into trouble. However, relying on his 8th level Emperor level formation attainments, Isaac still broke through the 6th formation an hour after entering it. This time, as soon as he came out of the formation, Isaac couldn't wait to look at Jason. It took me an hour to break through the 6th formation. It seemed that Jason only took half an hour to break through it before. I don't know how he broke through it, but he was in the 8th formation before. According to the difficulty of the large formation, within a few hours, Jason should not be able to break through it at all. He whispered in his heart and his eyes fell on Jason. Bang! At this sight, Isaac was so shocked that his eyes dropped to the ground. The confidence and complacency in his heart were shattered in an instant, and nothing was left. This what is going on? The 10th formation, in 1 hour, Jason broke through 2 formations in a row? How is this possible? He bit the tip of his tongue hard, and the intense pain directly stimulated him. Isaac's face changed color, but no matter how intense the pain at the tip of his tongue was, it was nothing compared to the surprise and shock that Jason brought to him. Impossible, I am an 8th level Emperor level formation master. No matter how smart Jason is, he can't break the formation as fast as me. Why? Isaac went completely crazy, his eyes were red, with bloodthirsty killing intent blooming. Isaac Valley Master went crazy when he discovered that Jason kept breaking the formation and Lindu was still on his own. No, I must surpass him, I can't let him get in front of me. Valley Master Isaac roared crazily in his heart, and immediately rushed into the 7th formation. Use the formation to change the structure of heaven and earth, and use the special ability of the formation to change the elemental structure of Ling 20, purify the elements, and make them into special elements that can be better absorbed by elixirs. This is the basic principle of the 9 spirits chi gathering formation, and spirit beasts and spiritual masters are also the same. Whether it is elixir, spiritual beast, or spiritual consciousness, the structure of the absorbed spirit 20 elements is different. How to change the basic elements between heaven and earth so that they can be absorbed by spiritual masters who need them. This is the essence of cultivating formation-like techniques. In a quarter of an hour, just a quarter of an hour, Jason broke through the 10th formation, with excitement and emotion on his face. The knowledge described in this 10th formation is about how to change the external environment and structure through formations, which will bring great help to the cultivation of elixirs, spirit beasts, and even spiritual masters. In terms of pure knowledge, the knowledge recorded in this 10th great formation is much more profound than before, but the heaven-defying formation mastered by Jason, the 9 spirits chi gathering formation, is based on such a the principle is built, and it is much more profound than the knowledge in this 10th great formation. Based on the 9 spirits chi gathering formation, Jason understood the knowledge of this 10th great formation in a moment. If it weren't for the purpose of learning more about the cultivation formations of spirit beasts, spiritual masters, etc., and remembering the structure of various formation element structures, just to break the formation, I'm afraid it only takes 2 or 3 minutes for Jason to do it. Walk out of this 10th formation. After sighing with emotion, Jason, who had benefited greatly, couldn't wait to enter the 11th formation. Half an hour later. Phew. Jason opened his eyes again. The attack formation is driven by core energy, combines all things in the world, and is driven by formation patterns to transform the most ordinary power into an irresistible force, carrying out destructive attacks on the spiritual masters inside the 12th great formation. Jason opened his eyes. The defensive formation uses a certain powerful core spiritual power as the main body, and uses the formation patterns to induce the spiritual elements between heaven and earth, forming a special elemental structure to form a barrier with extremely high defense power, which can decompose the attacks of the spiritual master. Resist, reflect and weaken. The 13th formation, trapped formation, combines some kind of spatial factor, seals the void so that the enemy is completely trapped in it and cannot get out. The 14th formation. The phantom formation mainly uses spiritual attacks and even has mystical methods to attack the soul. It is activated by the formation patterns, making the spiritual master fall into it and unable to cover himself in the 7th great formation. With great difficulty, Master Isaac finally broke through the 7th formation after spending nearly 2 hours of effort relying on his superb knowledge of formations and understanding of formations. 2 hours ago, it only took half an hour for Jason to break through the 7th formation. Dally Master Isaac, who finally walked out of the 7th formation, felt in his heart. Without the slightest hint of joy or sorrow, he raised his head again, wanting to see if Jason had broken through the 10th formation. But he looked at it this way. Poof! Dally Master Isaac's vision suddenly went dark and he almost fainted from the excitement. His throat was fishy and sweet, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Master Isaac Valley of the 15th formation took another careful look. After realizing that he had seen correctly, his face instantly turned pale. In the nearly 2 hours it took him to break through the 7th formation, Jason actually broke through 5 formations in a row and directly entered the 15th formation. He was about to reach the square. The deepest part of the formation. Impossible, impossible, Isaac muttered to himself, suffering an extraordinary shock in his heart. At this moment, Isaac almost didn't have the courage to step into the next formation. No, I am an 8th level Emperor level formation master. No matter how high Jason's attainments in formations are, he will never surpass me by that much. There must be something wrong somewhere. Yes, there must be something wrong somewhere. Otherwise, Jason wouldn't be so much faster than me. It must be a problem with the formation itself. Could it be that the difficulty of this formation is set based on the formation attainments of the spiritual master who enters it? A thought came to mind. Dally Master Isaac's mind flashed. Suddenly, Isaac seemed like a dying man grabbing the last straw, with enthusiasm and madness in his eyes. If that's the case, if this formation is really to test the strong ones who enter here. Once I break through all the formations, what I get will definitely be much stronger than this Jason. Valley Master Isaac kept saying, hypnotize yourself, and then step into the 8th formation. After Isaac Valley Master entered the 8th formation, an hour later, Jason had already broken through 2 formations again. The 15th Great Formation, the Spiritual Weapon Engraved Formation, the 16th Great Formation. The exercises and formations are in the 17th formation one by one. Jason's eyes were filled with excitement. It turns out that the humanoid water element was made in this way. It's incredible. It used powerful strength to condense the water element, and used the water of life as the source of energy, and then engraved many formations on it. Defensive formation. Methods: attack formations, condensation formations. The most incredible thing is that in this water element body, there are actually condensed skills, movement formations, and elemental origin mysteries, allowing this humanoid water element to display powerful the techniques, spiritual skills, and even elemental law attacks are really unbelievable. Jason's face flushed, he was mesmerized, completely immersed in understanding and learning. This 17th formation is about the puppet-making formation. The humanoid water element that Jason and the others encountered before was made using this formation. According to the different and complex materials of the engraving formation, depending on the degree and profundity, the puppets created have very different strengths. What makes Jason even more excited is that not only water elements, but also any other elements, can be used to create puppets using formations. In addition to elements, any object such as metal, spiritual wood, rock, etc., as long as it can be engraved with formations, if you can find the driving core, you can create the corresponding puppet. However, the large formation in this square only briefly describes its principles and structure, as well as how to crack it and how to make it. But the truly powerful ones are like the humanoid water element with the strength of the 9th level saint before. The manufacturing method made Jason quite regretful. However, this is also the reason why Jason can break through a formation in half an hour. He only needs to understand the principles, structures, simple construction and cracking methods. Otherwise, if he really has a powerful puppet production method, Jason's previous, the method for making the 9th level saint level humanoid water element they encountered contained a large amount of extremely complicated information. It would take a lot of time just to read it. It is simply unrealistic to break through a formation in half an hour. What exactly does this last 18th formation contain? Looking at the last formation, Jason's heart was filled with anticipation. There were only 18 formations in total in the entire square, and the one remaining in front of Jason was the last one. The previous 17 formations started from the basic knowledge of single-line formations, to multi-attribute formations, and then according to different functions, starting from attack, defense, etc., to the production of puppet formations, covering all aspects of the formations. Everything. But this last 18th formation made Jason curious about what it contained. With such a kind of Jason in his mouth, Jason couldn't wait to step into the last big formation. The situation changed. The next moment, Jason had arrived in a mysterious space. A large amount of knowledge, like a tide, crazily poured into his mind. After feeling the knowledge in his mind, Jason's eyes suddenly widened, his mouth opened wide, and his whole body trembled involuntarily, as if he had seen something unbelievable. Spirit Potion Preparation Formation. The clear message flashed in Jason's mind, turning his entire character to stone. Using formations to prepare elixirs, there is such a way to prepare elixirs? A ray of light, like a comet piercing the sky, passed through Jason's mind, like a spark, splashing into the oil burned brightly in Jason's mind. In the 8th formation, after a long time of preparation, Isaac Valley Master finally cracked it. Poof. However, when he saw where Jason was standing at the moment, his whole body spurted out blood again. There were 18 large formations. In the time it took him to break through one large formation, Jason actually broke through 3 more and entered the final 18 large formations, which almost made Isaac crazy. Is this Jason a human? The depressed ballet master Isaac didn't know how he entered the 9th formation. In the last formation, Jason was completely attracted by the information contained in the 18th formation. According to the preparation process of the elixir, construct a formation, and place all the elixir materials into each base of the formation. By stimulating the formation, the elixir is decomposed, a specific preparation process is completed, and finally the elixir is prepared. The completed elixir. After a short period of understanding, Jason already understood the so-called formation method to prepare the elixir. Based on what was said above, Jason could tell at a glance that this was not a random formation, but a completely achievable method. Compared with the traditional method of preparing elixirs, this formation was simple to prepare. As long as the formation is completed, anyone can operate it, it will not make mistakes, it is extremely accurate, and many other advantages. There will be a 4th update, about midnight. If you have monthly tickets, please support Shausher. The monthly ticket list has fallen. Of course, the flaw of the formation flow preparation is also very big. It is not as flexible as the spiritual master's personal preparation. The only way to prepare a formation is how it is set up. What really makes Jason feel regretful is that the formation is prepared using the formation method. Although the spiritual potion is perfect, precise, and highly integrated with medicinal properties, it has no spirit. Without the faith and spirit prepared by a spiritual master and poured into it, it would be like a human being without a soul. But Jason thought of another possibility. If a formation master reaches the ultimate level in formations, and the formations he constructs have life in themselves, can they prepare more powerful elixirs? Relying on his powerful knowledge of elixirs, Jason completely understood the 18th formation in a matter of seconds. Instead, he drew inferences from one example and came up with new questions. Since then, after possessing the elixir knowledge of the 3 major schools of technology flow, spiritual consciousness flow, and data flow, Jason now has another formation flow. Unknowingly, Jason was getting closer and closer to the path of the god of medicine. Rumble. When Jason completely broke through the last 18th formation, a huge roar suddenly sounded in the hall and was clearly heard by everyone. In the 18th formation, a soft light suddenly appeared, completely covering Jason. The next moment, Jason, who was originally in the square formation, suddenly disappeared from the square formation. Disappear. A dizzy feeling emerged in Jason's mind. The next moment, his eyes lit up. Jason found that he had arrived in a closed room, and in front of him, a pool about 10 meters in diameter bloomed. The soft light and the rich breath of life spread out, making him feel extremely comfortable. The refreshing breath made Jason sublime from the depths of his soul. And above the pool, a blue pagoda, about 1 person tall, floated on the surface of the pool. Waves of blue rays of argon gush out from the pagoda. Billions of rays of light rise, with endless divine brilliance. The pagoda exudes a coercion that makes people dare not look at it, as if it is alive, with its light rising and falling. This is the water of life and the mysterious pagoda. Jason murmured, stepping forward with excitement in his eyes, wanting to collect the water of life. Buzz. At this moment, the blue pagoda suddenly bloomed with endless divine brilliance. Blue ripples, like water flow, filled the entire room. 3 big characters appeared on the pagoda, with a coercion that people dare not look at. Tower of the God of War. The remaining brilliance bloomed from the 3 characters. The light shone on Jason, making Jason, whose body strength reached the 9th level intermediate level, feel extremely painful, and his skin was about to crack. Just when Jason was about to retreat, trying to defend himself from the light, a memeing light suddenly shot out from the top of the God of War tower, and a blue shadow suddenly appeared in the room, floating in the air. In front of Jason. This was a 2-meter tall blue human-shaped phantom, whose face could not be seen clearly. It was wearing a blue armor and holding a blue halberd. A terrifying aura that could destroy the world emitted from the blue phantom. The natural pressure caused even the void to tremble and collapse. Poof! Under that astonishing pressure, Jason felt as if he was carrying hundreds of millions of pounds, his legs were shaking, and he could barely stand. Suppressed by that terrifying pressure, the strange black power in Jason's body suddenly became violent, as if he had been provoked and responded. An indescribable terrifying force bloomed from Jason's body, blocking the terrifying pressure of the blue shadow. The blue shadow didn't seem to notice it. The figure stood proudly in the void and made a rumbling sound from its mouth. I am the god of war in the sky and sea, the strongest person under the endless sky and on the vast ocean. Since you can come here, it means that you have cracked the 18 solutions of the formation I established. This god of war tower is from now on, you will be my inheritor of the sacred objects I have sacrificed and refined. I will give you my god of war technique, god of war tower, and 800 volumes of formations. I hope you can make my formations and divine ways shine again. A rumbling sound resounded in the room, and the next moment boom. The blue shadow exuding endless pressure suddenly exploded and completely dissipated into the void. That phantom was just a phantom left by the sea god of war that day countless years ago. Buzz buzz, the god of war tower kept trembling. The next moment, the blue pagoda, which was as tall as a person, turned into a blue star point and flew towards Jason like lightning. There was no room for Jason to react. It disappeared into Jason's eyebrows. A vast amount of information, like a flood that broke a dam, rushed into Jason's mind and was engraved in Jason's memory. This is a blue phantom figure fighting with a halberd. With a wave of his hand, the world collapses, and the terrifying aura destroys the earth, making people almost afraid to look at it. This set of battle tactics is exactly what the sea god of war said that day. At the same time, in Jason's perception, the god of war tower turned into a particle, lurking in the center of his eyebrows, containing endless power. It was a kind of dominion over the world, suppressing everything, and irresistible. Wave after wave of terrifying power spread from the god of war tower to all parts of Jason's body. For a moment, the muscles on Jason's body began to make loud crackling sounds, and his long black hair swayed in the wind. Flying, the robes on his body swayed, and his body burst into blue light. The terrifying aura was continuously released from Jason's body. As this aura rose, the energy in Jason's body rose desperately. The 8th order peak emperor level in his body, the spiritual power began to transform, and continued to condense, and then roared in Jason's meridians, and actually charged towards the 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master. Ah! At this moment, Jason let out a painful roar. The flesh and blood on his body began to collapse, and blood spurted out from all parts of his body. Now, although Jason's physical strength has reached the 9th level, it is still too weak compared to the god of war tower. The two are not at the same level at all. In just a moment, the bones in Jason's body began to shatter and his muscles exploded. Buzz! Suddenly, the god of war tower in Jason's eyebrows trembled. Plop! The god of war tower drove Jason and suddenly fell into the pool containing a pool of water of life. Gurgling, the water of life, which contains the endless breath of life, instantly penetrated into Jason's internal organs. Jason's body, which was originally cracked and collapsed, immediately recovered under the powerful restorative energy of the water of life. The huge energy, like waves, constantly sinking into Jason's body. But the energy contained in the god of war tower was too powerful. Despite the treatment of the water of life, Jason's body was still being destroyed, cracked everywhere, and his internal organs collapsed. It is true that Jason's level is too low, and he is the 8th level peak emperor spiritual master. Although he is powerful, the essence of his spiritual power is only the 8th level peak. Coupled with his 9th level intermediate body, he cannot bear it at all. The terrifying energy contained in the god of war tower brought about his transformation and improvement. There is only one result for those who cannot withstand this terrifying energy, and that is to explode and die. Fortunately, the god of war of Tian Hai has considered this and actually prepared a pool of water of life here. With the water of life, there is a connection between Jason and the powerful energy instilled by the god of war tower. The balance is constantly being destroyed, but it does not cause an instant explosion and death. In this way, Jason's body cracked and healed and cracked again, his flesh and bones were constantly reborn and reborn. The water of life in the pool was also absorbed by Jason at a speed visible to the naked eye, rapidly decreasing. In such a process, Jason's body also received great nourishment and exercise. After successfully preparing numerous 9th-level holy elixirs and tempering them through law and calamity, Jason's physical strength has always been at the 9th-level intermediate level. It actually climbed up slowly. Finally, after being reborn and reborn again and again, boom! An indescribable terrifying aura came out of Jason's body. A large amount of water of life disappeared from the pool. Jason's body bloomed with divine light. His body was flawless and crystal clear. Generally, the almost transparent blood has a light golden flicker, and there are streaks of golden light flowing. After such training, Jason's body was finally promoted from the 9th-level intermediate level to the advanced level 9 level. The pure physical strength of a 9th-level senior is more powerful than the body of a 9th-level senior Holy Spirit Master. Regardless of mana and physical strength, Jason at this moment is fully capable of suppressing all 9th-level seniors on the mainland. Holy Spirit Master, in the pool of life, Jason's body is clear and flawless, and the treasure flows like an immortal god on the altar. After his physical strength advanced to the 9th level, Jason's body finally no longer collapsed due to the terrifying power pouring out of the god of war tower. The treasure body was strong, and the 8th level peak spiritual power in his body continued to rise. The divine brilliance of Tao Dao's laws circulated around his body, and the grand sounds of the great Tao chanted and rumbled. And when Jason broke through the formation, entered the mysterious space, and received the inheritance of the god of war from Tian Hai, the external formation was on the square. Rumble! A huge roar resounded throughout the entire square. After Jason broke through the 18th formation, all the formations in the entire square lit up dazzlingly. The brilliance awakened the nearly 10 strong men who had worked hard to understand and decipher the formation. In the square, thousands of rays of light dispersed, and all the large formations circulated, turning into patterns that exuded the mysterious atmosphere of laws, and then slowly disappeared. At the same time, the mysterious wall of water that appeared after entering the inner hall exploded with a bang, turning into spiritual elements that filled the sky, dissipated in the air, and disappeared without a trace. Several people did not dare to move rashly because of the powerful humanoid water element. The 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master, trapped in the water wall, also appeared in front of everyone. The monstrous aura dispersed, and the thousands of rays of light appeared suddenly and disappeared quickly. In the blink of an eye, the entire inner hall was empty. Everything disappeared, leaving only more than a dozen 9th level powerhouses looking at each other. For a moment, the entire inner hall was empty, with nothing left. More than a dozen 9th level saint level powerhouses looked at each other in confusion, not understanding what was happening. What happened? Why did everything disappear? I was clearly meditating on the 5th great formation before, but why? A messy and confused voice suddenly resounded in the hall. Everyone had doubts on their faces and confusion in their minds. Where is Master Jason? Master Jason? The first thing Claire and Muned noticed was that Jason had disappeared without a trace in the hall. They had seen him disappear before. Jason ranked first among everyone, constantly breaking the formation. Now, the front of the hall is empty, with nothing. In addition to Claire and Muned, Isaac and several other powerful Holy Spirit Masters have also always paid attention to Jason, who was the first to crack the crack. Now that they saw Jason disappear, they were filled with thoughts. Suddenly he sank. It's Jason who broke all the formations. Valley Master Isaac said with a sullen face and a cold voice. His words immediately made everyone notice this. Yes, I saw it when I broke the formation before. Jason seemed to be first in line. He had broken through the 14th formation, but now he has disappeared. What 14th formation? I just broke through the 4th Great Formation, and I took a special look at Jason. Not long ago, I saw that he had broken through the 17th Great Formation and entered the last 18 Great Formations. So, is it because Jason has gone through all the big formations that this situation is happening? But what about the Jasons? Could it be? For a moment, a possibility floated in everyone's mind, shocking everyone. Those who can become 9th-level Holy Spirit Masters are the patriarchs and heads of top families in Tianhai continent. The reclusive ancestor is naturally not low in IQ, and he has obviously thought of that possibility. Could this Jason have obtained the inheritance of the ancient god of war? An old man with gray hair murmured. The voice was not too high. It echoed clearly in the empty hall, making everyone take a breath. They came to this god of war from all over the continent. The purpose of the ruins is to obtain the inheritance of the ancient war god. Therefore, when I saw the formation that seemed to be some kind of test before, although I knew the danger, I rushed into it desperately, but the situation that appears in the hall now, their hearts sank. That was the inheritance of the ancient god of war. Some strong men who knew something about the ruins of the god of war knew that the former owner of the ruins of the god of war Tianhai, was the most important person in the history of Tianhai continent. The most powerful spiritual god that has ever appeared. This can be seen from the fact that the Tianhai continent is named after him. Shua. Just when everyone was feeling depressed, Valley Master Isaac, who was standing at the front of the hall and had broken the formation and walked the furthest before, suddenly turned around and stared at Claire with a pair of cold eyes. On Munad's body. Since Jason is gone, you two can stay with me. As long as I capture you two, even if Jason gets the inheritance, I can only hand it over obediently. A cold, murderous voice echoed in the hall, and a powerful, sharp breath was suddenly released from Isaac's body, instantly covering Claire and Munad in front of him. And as after the words of Isaac Valley Master fell, he said whoosh. Whoosh. The other 3 guardian elders of the God's Destruction Valley also turned into 3 streams of light in an instant. The 3 of them surrounded them, trapping both Claire and Munad. Get up. Seeing this scene, many strong men around them retreated. Although Lord Isaac was right, by capturing Claire and the others, even if Jason got the treasure of the ancient god of war, you can also force him to hand it over, but this is only effective against the top forces on the mainland like Lord Isaac Valley. For powerful men like them from other forces, there is usually only one 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master in the entire family. There are not more than 2, not to mention that they cannot capture Claire and Munad. Even if they can be captured, it will be difficult to be effective against Jason, who is extremely powerful. Instead, they will be the family was brought into the abyss of destruction. Only a strong man like Isaac Valley Master could possess such means. Therefore, after seeing Isaac Valley Master and others surrounding Naklia and Munad afterwards, in order to clear up the relationship, except for the 3 heads of the Lingtian sect, Michelson, the rest of them retreated to the corner of the hall. Isaac, how dare you? You are waiting for Sir Jason, sir, he will definitely not let you go. Seeing this scene, in the main hall, Munad's expression suddenly changed. He drew out his sword 6 times, moved closer to Claire, and couldn't help but speak angrily. Haha, Munad, what's there to be afraid of? As for Jason, I don't know if he really got the inheritance, and he probably died in the formation. Otherwise, why would there be no movement at all? Besides, even if he comes out alive, I will take his life. Isaac couldn't help but sneer unscrupulously. Chong. He pulled out the long sword from his waist. On the golden long sword, a cold light bloomed, piercing people's eyes. The golden law containing terrifying power continued to flow, making people feel chills all over and dare not look at it. At this moment, the leader of the Lingtian sect, Michelson, walked up slowly with a smile on his face. Behind him, there were two other ninth-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters from the Lingtian sect. In the previous flow of water among the buildings and formations, although several ninth-level Holy Spirit Masters died, unexpectedly none of the 7 strong men from the God Destruction Valley and Lingtian sect died. Slowly approaching Claire and Munad. The human Isaac suddenly stopped and looked at Michelson with a cold look in his eyes. "Michelson, do you want to be my enemy here?" he said coldly, without any emotion. "Isaac, don't show off in front of me. Others are afraid of you, but I, Michelson, are not afraid of you." Michelson said calmly, and soon his eyes fell on Munad and Claire, his face a smile appeared on his face. "Munad, how did you think about the proposal of my Lingtian sect? As long as you agree, I can guarantee that no one can hurt you today." Michelson had a smile on his face and was confident. He did not believe that in the current situation, Munad could still reject him. If the Boning family joins our Lingtian sect, then our Lingtian sect will also have a branch of the spiritual medicine hall. The most important thing is that Jason. If Jason does not die and really gets the treasure of the god of war, then he will become as a member of the Lingtian sect. It is natural that he cannot keep this god of war treasure to himself. Sooner or later, it will fall into my hands. If he has died in that formation, our Lingtian sect will not suffer any loss, and we will get 2 ninth-level intermediates for nothing. Holy Spirit Master. Michelson said silently in his heart, with a confident smile on his face. This Michelson. After hearing Michelson's words, Isaac couldn't help but feel his heart sink. He looked at him with murderous intent in his eyes, and at the same time he couldn't help but feel worried. He didn't know what kind of agreement the Lingtian sect had with the Boning family, but there was no doubt that once the Boning family agreed, the Lingtian sect would have 5 ninth-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters, while he had only 4 in the Mystic Valley. With the strength of the 4 of them, their lives would not be in any danger, but it would be difficult to implement the plan to capture Clea and Munad alive and force Jason. But, thinking that he had already sent a message back to his ancestors in the valley, Isaac felt at ease again. In the main hall, Michelson ignored the gaze of Lord Isaac Valley and stood there slowly with a smile on his face, waiting for Munad's answer. Master Michelson is taking advantage of the situation. Munad's heart was full of anger, but at this critical moment, he was in a dilemma. The situation was obviously not good for them. Once a battle broke out, their lives would be in danger, and Teo would be defeated. Leia, in Jason's absence, Munad will never allow her to be harmed, otherwise he will not be able to forgive himself. Lord Claire, we are now. Munad was in a dilemma and could only leave the decision-making power to Claire. Claire glanced at him lightly, and then looked at the leader of the Michelson clan who was standing there, confident, with a faint smile on his lips. "Get out." A small, but firm, low voice echoed in the hall, and the sound of angry curses, like thunder, instantly reached the ears of everyone present. All the strong men were stunned. At this moment, the confident smile on Michelson's face suddenly solidified, and he looked a little confused. Obviously, he did not expect that Claire would say such a thing to him. His smiling face suddenly turned extremely livid, his expression was cold, and his lips were trembling. "Claire, right? You have to think carefully." Michelson narrowed his eyes and spoke coldly. "Noisy," Claire said coldly, and drew out the big sword from her back, her eyes instantly raised. "Okay, very good." Michelson sneered, but his figure instantly retreated. "Isaac, you go ahead, I, Michelson, will never interfere," he said coldly. "Humph." Isaac glanced at him, his eyes filled with murderous intent, revealing a hint of ruthlessness. "Do it." The next moment, Isaac shouted suddenly, and his face instantly became extremely ferocious. "Boom!" As he roared angrily, Valley Master Isaac moved suddenly. The long sword in his hand instantly turned into a broad golden sword rainbow, aimed at Claire's location, and struck down quickly.